for joining us. Just time for a quick recap of the week, and we begin with a narcissistic, unstable man who just might kill us all. And it says something about the current state of the world that you have no idea which world leader our story is about. So, let me specify. It's about a tubby, power-hungry leader with daddy issues and a bad haircut, which still only narrows us down to these two, but as it happens, our first story is about both of them, because last week, North Korea marked the 105th birthday of Kim Il-sung, their first supreme leader, with a startling parade.
These canisters could carry a missile capable of reaching the U.S., but are they real, or are they what one intelligence official called just big green tubes?
Okay, that is a good question, because yes, on one hand, they could be intercontinental missiles capable of destabilising the whole world order, but on the other hand, they could also be dildos for the Jolly Green Giant's wife. He does not sexually satisfy her. That's a fact. That's a sad fact. But the parade wasn't the issue for the international community as much as the missile test that followed it, the 5th in the past 10 weeks. And while it failed, it was a provocative act, especially considering that just days earlier, Donald Trump had tried to warn them not to do it.
What are we doing right now in terms of North Korea?
We are sending an armada, very powerful. We have submarines, very powerful.
Okay, that was a very powerful response from Trump. Very powerful. Although I would argue the most surprising thing there is that he knows what the word armada means. I always just assumed that's what he mistakenly called his housekeepers. Armada, you forgot to dust under the lamps. You think I don't check under the lamps, Armada, but I do. I do check under the lamps. But to give the president some credit, that was at least a clear response, echoed later by Sean Spicer, who argued that there was an unmistakable message of deterrence being sent when you see a carrier group steaming into an area like that. But that message got a little muddied this week after we learned something surprising about the carrier group in question.
The USS Carl Vinson was not, in fact, on its way. It was more than 3,000 nautical miles away, traveling in the opposite direction, heading south.
Okay, so it was steaming, just the wrong way. And it was off the coast of North Korea the same way that New York is off the coast of Portugal. And when confronted by this mistake, Sean Spicer, I remind you, a professional spokesperson, yet again lost control of his mouth.
Can you take us through the events from the perspective of the White House that led to the miscommunication, this administration thinking that this vessel was thousands of miles away from its actual location?
The president said that we have an armada going towards the peninsula. That's a fact. It happened. It is happening, rather.
Wait. So Spicer is claiming that because the fleet was going to North Korea eventually, it was fine to suggest that it was on its way there now. And by that logic, I can truthfully say that Sean Spicer is currently posting his resume on Monster.com. I mean, he isn't, but he will eventually. And at this rate, possibly as soon as next week. So it seems with the parade of potentially fake weapons, the failed missile test, and the armada that's definitely in an ocean steaming somewhere, it has been a week of confusing messages back and forth. But on Wednesday, we got perhaps the most surprising message of all.
The New York Times reports on unusual activity at North Korea's nuclear test site. Images taken Sunday showed a volleyball game being played. It was one of 3 games. Analysts say the games were probably intended to send a message, but that message is unclear.
Yeah, it probably is, because volleyball on a nuclear test site is a pretty hard message to get your head around. It's like getting a text that said, hey, you up, eggplant emoji, because I just ate an entire box